Hi, everybody, and welcome to First Draft for July. July means RWA, so that is all we're talking about today. I'm Julia Kelly, and this is a huge month for the romance community. Authors, agents, editors, pretty much everybody coming together and going to RWA. So we thought we would host another one of these conversations about what you need to know for your first conference if you're going for the first time, and then kind of some brush up and exchange of tips if you are a repeat offender going to RWA after having been to conferences before. So we're going to go ahead and start out with our regular founding First Draft members. Alexis Ann, if you want to tell us who you are, what you do, and how often you've been to RWA.
Hi, I'm Alexis Ann. I write contemporary and erotic romance. This will be my third RWA. Did I answer all the questions?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Mary Chris, your turn.
My name is Mary Chris Escobar. I write chick lit women's fiction, and this will also be my third RWA. Also, in honor of RWA being in New York, I am drinking a Brooklyn Brewery Sriracha Ace tonight, so cheers.
Cheers.
Very nice. Katie, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Katie Dunbeck. I'm at Young Librarian on Twitter. As my alter ego, I should say, writes erotic romance and other flavors of romance, and I also have written mystery. So I have been to about 6 RWA conferences, but I've been going since 1999, so I've seen a very long span of conferences.
So I can see Alexis grinning because she's just so happy to have another erotic writer on the chat. We were talking about that the other day. And yeah, I'm Julia Kelly. I write contemporary and historical under that name, and under Vivian Thorne, I also write historical erotica as well. So we're going to jump right in, and we wanted to kind of open up and talk a little bit about the Twitter chats that Katie's been running, and they're under hashtag RWA First. And some of the common questions that we're seeing there, we asked people for questions, concerns, things they wish they had known before they went to their first RWA. So we thought that would be a good place to jump off, and then we're going to kind of tailor things to maybe moving through the conference, what you should know when you get there or when you're actually there, and in the post-RWA fallout. And then we're also going to just kind of swap and share tips. So Katie, what are you seeing a lot of concerns about or questions about as you've run a lot of these chats, actually?
I think the most consistent question, because while I've had chats almost every single month, I picked really, really bad times for March and April's. I did April's on tax day. I was not, that was already done with my taxes. But probably the most consistent question is actually about business cards and whether or not people should have them and how many they should have. Right now is kind of pushing the wire as to getting them if you don't already have them. But if you order them like today or tomorrow, you might get them before you leave. There's a number of online sites such as Vistaprint and Moo.com, and I'm sure there's tons of others, where first figure out your budget and keep it as simple as possible, really. If you have an upcoming release, if you are a published author, maybe to put that information on there, but put your name, put your contact information, so at least your email, preferably your social media. So if you have a Facebook page, if you have a Twitter account, if you have an Instagram account, whatever you use, include that information. Your website, if you have one. And what I have also done is I put my face on there, because that is my one complaint when I get business cards later and I look at them and I'm like, who was this? Who did I talk to? Because I sometimes have problems matching up names to faces. So I'll like remember them, but I may not remember exactly what they look like, or I'll remember their face but have no clue what their name is when I see them next time. So that's a kind of nice little prompt that I've decided to include, but not everybody wants to do that, which is totally understandable. The other thing that I've started doing is on the back of the cards, so this is if you get cards where you can also customize the back, I have put where we met and then a space for what did we talk about, what we talked about. So it's just another way for somebody to make a quick note prompt their memory. So that's what I've been doing. But again, just keep it as simple as possible and keep it within your budget. So decide on a budget in general. And related to that is also swag, and if people should bring swag or not. If you are unpublished, your swag is your business card. If you are published, figure out what your budget is of what you're willing to spend, and then look for things in that area. I decided I'm not going to promote Alter Ego because I don't have any new releases this year, so I'm sticking to the business cards. But I also wanted to do something for the RWA first as another like signal to people. So I got buttons from wackybuttons.com, which I actually heard about from Delphine Dryden, who has lots of really cool buttons when she goes to conferences. But she's also a bit of a graphic designer, so she's got that aspect. I just used the templates they had because I'm not a graphic designer. But I heard from somebody she's going to be giving away battery chargers. That's her swag. Yes. And so for what she was considering, she was looking at prices, and she realized it was the same amount as a USB thing that she was considering. And so that's useful. So if you are going to use swag, try to do something that's useful, because people are going to hold on to it. I got a fan from Shiloh Walker at RT a couple of years ago, or last year at New Orleans, and I use it all the damn time because I get really hot here in DC. I use magnetic clips as my chip clips. So that's stuff that I keep, and I keep seeing Lauren Dane's name, I keep seeing Lisa Hendricks' name, I keep seeing Shiloh Walker's name, because it's constantly in my face because it's something I continuously use. Shannon Stacy gave out wooden spoons one year. I bake with Shannon Stacy, and she gets a kick out of that because she's not a baker herself.
That is brilliant.
So, but again, figure out what your budget is, because you're also this is kind of, we'll be going into details, I'm sure, but you've got the literacy signing that you might be spending money at Wednesday night. You're going to be drinking in the bar, whether that's alcohol or non-alcoholic drinks. It's still money that you're going to have to spend, possibly food. And then the food, especially if you go out, and heck, even in the hotel, it's going to be expensive. And then, so just figure out what your budget is for everything. It's probably going to be easier just to go in the transportation, because I kept coming up with questions for people to answer. But
Sure.
the one questions coming in from people were the business cards and swag.
Yeah, and I think that, that highlights it is a networking conference, and you're definitely there for the purpose of kind of being there as part of your business, as much as I think those of us who are repeat RWAers enjoy the social aspect of it as well. You are definitely there to make connections, and whether it's growing or meeting agents or editors or whatever it is. So really quickly, Mary Chris, I put you on mute, and I'm wondering if you are also on mute on your end right now, just because we were getting some bleed through. So I can go ahead and text you, but I think you might be on mute on your side as well. So we'll see if we can troubleshoot that and get Mary Chris back on audio. So, Lexi, you do something kind of unique with your business cards as well, with the book covers. You want to talk a little bit about that as well?
To say one thing real quick, I did hear advice at my first RWA to put my picture on my business card, like Katie was saying, and I did it, and I think it is a great idea, because we are such a reclusive community, if you want to say it that way. We see each other online for the most part. We don't spend a lot of face-to-face time, so your picture is actually kind of an awesome thing to put on your business card. It seemed really weird to me the first time I heard it, but I use my avatar picture of me in the green shirt that I use everywhere. It's on my business card. I generally think that I look like that picture when I see people, so it is a good picture and I wear that green shirt a lot. So it's a good picture for me to help people remember me, because at conferences you come and go so quickly and you don't always remember people. So I do the picture thing, and I think it's a great idea. What Julia was just talking about is I use Moo for my business cards because they have the option of doing a static side on one side, which is where I put my picture, my contact information, my website, all of that stuff that is always true to me. And then on the other side, I use their multiple option, and I have all of my book covers on that side. And so depending on who I'm talking to, I can give them a particular book cover when I hand them my business card, which I love being able to do because some people love erotic romance. And so I can give them Tease or Tempt with my sexy Abby guys on them. Or they don't like that, and I can give them my contemporary romances, which are a little bit more subtle. But it gives them a calling card on both sides. My cover is on one side, which is my work, and I'm on the other side with all my contact information.
Yeah, actually I want to add in about using your avatar and everything. So I obviously have a cartoon avatar, which I have been told that, oh, you look like just like your avatar, but
I was just going to tell you that. Yeah.
And I just got my hair cut, so I won't have the braids. But something I've done is I've used GIMP, which is a free software.
GIMP is awesome.
Yes. It's so powerful. I only touch the surface of it when I use it. But I've made it so that I have an actual picture of me, the one that I'm currently using as my current headshot, and then I've got, like, just above it, attached to it, is my Twitter avatar. So that... of course, is not alter ego, but it is for this ID. People immediately recognizing me by my avatar, so it's like that way it connects that in their head, the two images. So if you have an avatar that you consistently use, like I do, that is not your actual face, that is also something else to consider.
And if you do have an avatar, for instance, on Twitter, please don't change it right before the conference.
Yes.
We actually do trigger off of that avatar. So if you tell me, you know, oh, I'm Julia Kelly and I look different than I normally do, which I'm not usually to beer glasses, which is what you're seeing right now. That's mainly because I'm hosting the Google Hangout on my side. But so normally I have my usual Julia Kelly Twitter photo, and that's the most recognizable thing because when I'm interacting with people on social media, that's the thing that they're seeing. So it kind of ties into a branding conversation that we had a couple months ago, but that's a whole other topic. So
the bottom line is it's a networking conference, so you want to be recognizable one way, shape, or form. You want people to be able to connect the dots, so do that.
Definitely. And actually kind of with that, the branding, there's some, I know people both, I first came across this concept at library conferences actually, is the fact that some people go to conferences looking a specific way that they don't necessarily look like in their real life. This one librarian, the first conference, she happened to let her hair down because she, for whatever reason, and her hair is really long, but she almost always wears it up at home. But at conferences, she wears it down because that's how people recognize her. So at RWA, if you see somebody in a cowboy hat, it's most likely going to be either Vivian Arend or Sarah Anderson.
Yep.
And or if you see a big picture hat, that might be Jeffy Kennedy.
Yep.
And
yeah, they're peacocking basically. It's a way to recognize them because you can pick them out of a crowd, right?
Right.
I can tell you right now, my hair will be exactly like this, or curlier every single day of the conference. I will do this every morning because it became a running joke that that's how people were spotting me across the conference hall.
Julia hair, yes.
Hair. And
it's
so
kind of famous.
I never go to conferences or speaking events or anything like that without my hair done a certain way because that's now how my friends recognized me, and then we got stopped a couple of times at RWA last year because of the first draft chats, and I think having us all together definitely was a thing too, but I was like, hey, if you recognize anything from this conversation, just gonna keep it going. So yeah, it definitely helped having something that kind of makes you stand out a little bit. I've seen people wear fur vests. I've seen people, you know, wear crazy hair combinations or colors or, you know, announce their hair color.
Mm-hmm. I was not the only one with purple hair, but I was the one everybody's like, oh, you're the one with purple hair. I'm like, there's like 7, 8, 10 of us, but I was the one, I think it was because of how tall I am too. But I don't have the purple hair this year just because of I didn't want to spend $200 on getting that done for a conference. But the other thing is I was speaking last year. This year I'm not speaking, so I'm kind of doing more behind the scenes type of thing. But when I am more front and center, then yes, I will. That is a thing that I really enjoyed, and being recognizable that way. But admittedly, a lot of people at this point, if they've seen me in person, they recognize me by how tall I am, because I don't consider myself that tall, but when I'm in a sea of other women, I realize that I am a tall, strawberry blonde, that there's not that many of us. So people recognize me from that alone.
So maybe we can talk a little bit about, you were talking about being in front of the podium and speaking, but this is also a networking conference for a group of people that not always, but often ends up being very introverted.
Yes.
So maybe we can talk a little bit. Mary Chris, you and I have had a lot of conversations about this. Kind of what is it like going to a conference like this as an introvert, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah, first let me just check, am I okay on sound?
You are, yes. We have you back.
Okay, awesome. Before I go into a long-winded answer about introversion, which is one of my favorite things. I really think it's mostly about a couple things. One, deciding that you're going to go into the conference for the purpose of networking and meeting people, and really sort of mentally preparing yourself for that's what your goal is for the conference and what you plan to do. Looking for people, I would strongly recommend going to, if you are a first-timer at RWA and you are going by yourself and you are a little bit more of an introvert, go to the first-timers orientation that they do. It's one of those things that sounds maybe a little bit like, should I do that? You should absolutely do that. And you should look for other people sitting by themselves, because you will not be the only person there by yourself. I believe that's how I met Lexi, and a couple other people. Yeah, we were kind of near the back, and I was like, I'm not going to go sit down with someone who looks like they're here with 4 or 5 other people. I'm going to go sit next to someone who's alone.
You get this first-timer badge, so you will be branded, and it is a good thing at this conference. I thought for sure it was going to be horrible, but it is a good thing.
People want
again,
to have that badge on.
They will. They'll talk to you, and they'll. So yeah, put the badge on. Go to the first-timers orientation, and I would say just really, truly know that you're there to connect with people, and you can connect with people on a very individual, one-on-one basis. The easiest way to connect with any writer is to say, "What do you write?" Also, RWA is people are fun. They have colored hair and hats and pretty dresses, and so tell someone you like their dress or you like their hair or cool glasses. Like, so many easy ways to start a conversation, and it's if I can assure you of anything, if you're going to the conference as an introvert, people are nice. People are very kind at this conference. Really, you have a first-timer's badge on, and people are like, "Oh, it's your first time. Where are you from? Like, what do you write?" They will go out of their way to.
Do you have
be
lunch
nice to.
plans?
Yes, yeah. I had somebody the very first day I was drinking a coffee and going through the program, and she literally gave me her phone number, and she was like, "Oh, this is your first time and you're here alone? Like, if you need anything, like, call me." Like, I didn't even know her. Like, and she's giving me her phone number, and I knew from then on I was going to be absolutely fine. Yeah.
I say this every time we talk about this, but it's not an isolated incident. The first time I went to RWA, this happened to me more times than I can count. If you're a first-timer, everyone there wants to make sure that you're comfortable and taken care of, and that you don't eat alone, and that you don't sit alone, and they invite you into they see you with your first-timer badge, and they say, "Come sit with me and let's talk. What do you write? What are you here for?" I tell everybody when they ask about how did you find your writing community, I say I walked into RWA and I found my home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, it's very welcoming and very nurturing. I would say the only time where you probably don't want to approach somebody is if they look like they're in a business meeting, because there are a lot of casual and informal meetings. But other than that, go crazy, have fun. Most people are very nice, and if they aren't, maybe you caught them in a moment. Know that that's not everybody at the conference, and know that that may even not be that author. They could be an introvert overload. They could just be stressed, and it happens. So it's definitely a environment where you do not have to feel singled out. Find us. We're more than happy to hang out. We grab more unsuspecting first timers for dinner than I want to admit. Poor people.
I'm still sorry to Stephanie if she's watching.
I know.
Oh yeah, we didn't just grab her for dinner. Like, we took her like bar hopping, like to multiple places that we knew nothing about. We're like, hey, come with us.
It'll be an adventure.
Yeah.
And she was
So it will be an adventure.
And I still remember, I followed Twitter very closely before my first RWA. I followed the hashtag. I was checking things out, following everybody's advice. And I got to know a couple of people who had published books, and to me at that time that was amazing. And I ran into one at a trash can one day, and she was coming out with like a breakfast burrito, and her dress wasn't fitting right. And I was like, it looks really good, because I knew who she was from Twitter. And she was like, really? I didn't think it looked good. Okay, awesome, thank you. And went on, and I was like, oh, I just talked to that person that I saw on Twitter. I still see her on Twitter sometimes, and I'm like, does she know that was me at the trash can?
She may now. So what else are you seeing in terms of concerns or just general questions, Katie? Anything in particular that's really kind of got people a little uneasy?
I don't think any. I think some people are worried a lot about the introvert aspect, because there are so many people who are introverts who write. I totally get that. I actually run between introvert and extrovert, so I test both ways and always have. And so the way it plays out for me is that I can usually go for like the length of the conference, and then I crash for the next month.
Yes.
But it's like I always tell people, if you need to step away, go to your room, go find a corner, if you happen to have your laptop or your iPad or just even a notebook and paper, just start writing, and that will give a signal that you're doing something and don't want to necessarily be interrupted at that point. Or find a friend that just to sit with you, because a good rule of thumb that I saw one of my friends give yesterday was, if you see only two people talking, assume it's a business meeting. But if you see a group of people talking and you want to join in, they'll be welcoming most likely. So just say, hey, do you mind if I sit with you, type of thing. And I think that's the main real thing, is like approaching people when you don't necessarily know them in person. One of the things, the first-timer thing is absolutely key. I'm not kidding when Sarah McLean, she will hunt you down and make you put on your ribbon if you are a first-timer and don't have it on. In addition to that, also Wednesday night, if you are not completely sacked out by the literacy signing, and you could be, because those lines are going to be freaking long, both to get in and to check out, so just be forewarned. But if you are not completely wiped out by that, at 8:30, I still need to decide on a location, but I'm going to have a meet and greet in one of the bars, because there's apparently multiple bars. So
yes,
I'll tweet out details the day of, once I figure out where exactly it's going to happen. But that way, it's another easy social situation. Janet and she's like, we're going to be ready with a sign, holding it up like Norma Ray. So,
I love her.
She's so great. She's so great. And what I really want, the reason I started doing these chats is because even though I started going in 1999, so 16 years ago, I was fresh out of college. The only people who I knew at the conference were fairly big-name people who I happened to have interacted with before that point. And so you can't, they're not necessarily, they had so much going on that they couldn't necessarily shepherd a first-timer through the conference, and even if they wanted to, they're just too busy to do that. So I was a month back from studying abroad for 6 months. I was still job hunting. I was so damn clueless. It wasn't even funny. And I still remember how overwhelmed I was. And it also didn't help that I wasn't staying at the conference. It was in Chicago, which is where I lived, so I was commuting in every day.
Yeah.
And so that is definitely a different experience than from staying at the hotel or even a nearby hotel where if you have to commute in for any period of time, you do miss out on some of the social aspects, or you are just really wiped by Friday night. But I remember just the feeling of, I have no idea what I want, what I'm doing, and it took until like my second or third RWA to like really fully grasp everything. So I wanted to give people more information than I had, because even though there was the internet, there wasn't necessarily like places like Twitter where it was free-flowing conversation and easy to find other people going to the conference. So one of my superpowers, if you will, is that I'm really good with connecting people. I'm a librarian by day, and so I connect people to the information that they need. But I'm also, and part of that is connecting you to the people that you need to know about. So I really enjoy doing that. And so in addition to not wanting people to feel overwhelmed, I'm also happy to introduce you to a lot of people. So if they're free and available, I'll introduce you to people, because it's like, I know them. And that's also the kind of weird thing, is that if you're around long enough, you'll be surprised whose contact information you get. I was looking at my phone yesterday to add somebody in and realized, I have this editor's phone number in my contacts list. Wow. And this is somebody at a Big Five house, and she's really nice, and we've been at conferences together for so long that she did trust me with that information. But I am always happy to help people feel more welcome. I just really enjoy doing that. So I was hospitality chair for my local chapter for the last 2 years. So I really want to reinforce, please don't be afraid to, if I'm not obviously in a business meeting, you see me and you're like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, come grab me. I'm more than happy to help you figure out where you want to do lunch, or where you need to be next, or whatever. It's the librarian aspect. So, and I'll be at registration on Tuesday. So if you are checking in on Tuesday, I will be there, so you'll be able to see me right away.
Yeah, it's, positioning yourself so that you're around people. It's as organic as kind of having a conversation when somebody walks up to your group and the person you're talking with goes, oh, this is my editor, have you met them? And it can be as organic as that. So it's definitely helpful to make yourself available to those things, and even if you need to take some alone time and kind of have a moment away in your room, that's one thing that I saw come up a lot, and I've used it also as a tool to just kind of have a moment to recharge or take a walk around the conference hotel. You're going to be in Times Square, so I don't know how relaxing that's going to be, but I don't find it very relaxing. But
avoid the Elmos and the people who want you to take pictures with them.
Exactly. Maybe you can walk into Hell's Kitchen instead. So maybe let's go ahead and talk about some of the planning and organizational things that you can do to make life a little easier for yourself. I know that Lexi has probably printed, highlighted, made notes on, and then also inputted into her app her workshop schedule, if I remember previous years, and possibly
I'm excited about the workshops.
And I'm going to let you guys talk amongst yourselves for a second, because I need to plug my laptop in. Rookie mistake from the host. But so you take over. I'll be back.
Well, one of the best things that they started last year was I don't know if you can even see this because it's an iPad, but they started the RWA app. If you have not downloaded the RWA app yet, you really should, because it has a schedule with all the workshops in it and who's speaking. You can search by who's speaking if you want to particularly stalk somebody. You can put your own schedule in there. You can just press on which workshops you want to go to, which mine basically says that I need to be everywhere at the same time the whole time. That's my problem, not yours.
Hermione's time turner for that.
Yes, I do. Especially for, I think it's Friday. I'm double booked everywhere. I don't know how they managed to put all the workshops I want to go to on Friday at the exact same time, but they did. 2 years running now.
Yep.
You can also add your own events into it. So if you're meeting an editor or an agent, or you have drinks with friends, or whatever it is, if you're meeting Katie for her after the literacy signing thing, you can add it to your schedule with any details that you want to. So that's super handy. You can also follow the links to anything in the app, which is, I think, very handy. They also have dining and other things in here this year, which is awesome.
Yeah, the app is great this year. I did not use the app last year. I went totally old school and just set with the website and actually wrote in my notebook what I wanted to go to. But the app, I was looking at it this year, and it is awesome. I didn't know. I just learned that you can program your own things in, so that's awesome. That was my one thing. I was like, I have these things written on my old school paper calendar, and like, how am I going to remember them in the app? So that's really great that you can add that in. But it looked like there were descriptions right there, and also maybe handouts, like access to the handouts right there.
I did that last year too. I downloaded the PDFs because I use an iPad mini as I'm holding it up to the screen for you guys to see. I downloaded the PDFs last year straight into my iPad and used the markup apps to make notes directly onto the iPad. I think they've actually gone a step further this year, and it's all pretty seamless this year from what I understood from the description. But yeah, the workshops have the handouts already in here, so make sure you look at the handouts, and you can go ahead and mark them up right in your phone or your computer, your app, as you're listening, which is awesome.
The other thing is to take note of what is not being recorded.
Yes.
And prioritize those.
Because big thing, they record most of the workshops, so you can pay the extra 100 and something, I think it is.
125 and 130.
Yeah.
To purchase all the audio recordings. So any workshop that's recorded, you get it as an audio file to listen to. It does sound like a big chunk of change, but if you're double booked a lot, like I seem to be this year, it can be worth it.
I found it worth it. I did it last year because at some point I realized I had chosen poorly some things, and I had missed some things that I really actually should have gone to. So I ended up buying it, and it's been really helpful. I'm a big podcast person. No surprise. So I like having those things available and accessible to me, and I can pop them on my phone, and I use them as kind of like little reboots throughout the year when I need kind of like a mini RWA workshop. Some things work better than others. Obviously, anything that's heavily computer-based, where, for instance, if Scrivener has a lot of on-screen display type of stuff, that may not be as helpful, but it depends on the formatting of the actual workshop itself. Also, some things aren't recorded. For instance, Michael Haig is doing a workshop this year, and his stuff is not recorded. He does the inner journey, which I found really helpful 3 years ago. So if it's something where you're looking for kind of character and plot, a fusion of those two things in development, that might be something that you want to mark. But you just want to go through and make sure that anything that really, really, really matters to you, make sure that that's clear on your calendar. And otherwise, I'm also like Lexi, and I have most of my calendar double, if not triple booked. So.
I will also say with workshops, I think the first year I went, I was like, I must go to a workshop in every session. Like I'm coming to this conference to learn, and I must schedule every single session I need to go to something. And most of the time I find true what you guys are talking about, where there's multiple things I want to do in the same time frame, but sometimes there's that one time frame that I'm just like, nothing is like really something I definitely want to do. That's a great time to go take that downtime, to go sit in your room, take a deep breath, sit and read a book for a little while. So look for those opportunities where maybe there's that one, and literally I think with RWA it only happens like one time for me, but there's always like one section where I'm like, I don't know, like I would be kind of, I'm not sure I really want to go to any of those sessions. So that's a great time to sort of take a step back. Or I went to a wonderful session that I really did want to go to about Scrivener super, super late in the day last year, and my brain was just done. It was amazing, but I could not take in that information after a full day. And I think it was probably maybe Saturday or towards the end of the conference, and I just couldn't take anything else in at that point. So that's, again, why the recordings are great, when you're like, this is really good information, but my brain is broken. Like, I can't comprehend the detail, the level of detail that's being given in this session. So, look for those. I guess what I'm getting at is don't feel compelled to go to every single, workshop. There's other great things you can be doing. Networking is a really good use of your time. Taking that 5 minutes to take, or 30 minutes to take a deep breath and recharge to get back out there and network is another really good thing. So don't feel that pressure I must go to a workshop every single session.
And it's interesting at RWA because a lot of the time you're rooming with other people. For instance, last year the three of us roomed together. But the year before I was with a complete stranger that I had found on the RWA boards to share a room with. So you may or may not be with someone that you even know. Just be really frank and honest about when you need some downtime and some alone time. If you need to go to the room and have 30 minutes to just, because what I've noticed at every conference is the noise. As an introvert, the noise almost always, and the overhead lights, at some point they overwhelm me and I need to just desensitize for a little while, and you can't do that if someone else is in the room. So just be really honest, whether you know them or not. I love you too. I need 30 minutes to desensitize. Please leave me alone.
No, it's true, and I think most people will respect that because, again, a lot of us are coming from the same place of having at least some of those introverted tendencies, or just, writing tends to be a solitary thing, and so you're used to working alone, and you're used to kind of not having this sheer volume of interaction at all times. And what Katie said about, being just done for the month after RWA is pretty accurate, and so I definitely sympathize with that and understand that. And I think, coming back from San Antonio, I'm pretty sure that Lexi and I sat in the airport next to each other without talking for like the last 30 minutes of being around each other, because it was a very, very long week, because we came in on Tuesday and then left on Sunday, and it's a good long chunk of time. So it definitely, takes a toll, and that's okay. And you can take that, non-workshop or whatever time that you need.
I would take time on the back end. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I remember after you got on your plane, because you got on your plane first, I went to the bar, I got a beer, and I cried into my beer.
And I think you texted me to tell both of us to tell us.
I'm crying into my beer. It's not because my life isn't good. I just don't know why.
There's a lot of emotions.
It is. It's a lot. It's a lot. But it's awesome.
Yeah, and then that's when you're processing everything. You're like, everything you learned, everybody that you met, just the energy itself that you either absorbed or had taken from you, and it's just kind of like, and I'm done.
Yeah. If you can possibly do it, my other number one piece of advice, really for anybody, but especially if you are an introvert, try to take the day after the conference off, like whatever that is for you. So whether you're a full-time writer, don't plan to write that day. Plan to read some of the books you got and, catch up on social media and go through your business cards, but don't plan to write. And if you do have a day job, if there's any way possible, you can take that day after the conference off just to sort of give yourself that time to, rest and kind of get your head back in order. I think, it's a really good thing to do. It doesn't always work out. I couldn't do it last year, and I survived. So if you can't do it, it will work. But if you, by any means, can take that day off, I would recommend it.
So going from trying to decompress to straight back into, interacting with people, we're going to talk a little bit about signings as well. And Lexi did the indie book signing last year. Both of us are doing it this year. So this is a very selfish question, and I'm asking for any advice that you have for me and for anybody else who's doing this for the first time at RWA.
It's a little bit of an interesting question because you've never done another signing before, and last year that was my very first signing. So the biggest surprise I had was that everyone walking into the signing is there to see everybody for the most part. It's not like they're there to see one author who's the big named author, and that's it. For the most part, I'm sure there are a couple people who are there to see, Courtney Wan. Ooh, I'm going straight to her. But for the most part, the people coming into the signings are there to see everybody. So they go by every table. They stop and they say hi. Be ready to say hi to 200 people or however many it is that come through the door. If you have a support network and this isn't your first RWA, tap that support network. I was so lucky last year to have all of you guys, and you all came before the signing and made sure I was okay, and I think it was Julia brought me water because I was like, oh my god, I haven't drunk water in 2 hours.
I'm an Aquarius. It's what makes sense. I don't know.
Yes. And so many of my friends stopped by my table to make sure that somebody had grabbed my books and my swag and that I wasn't sitting there all by myself. So if you have a support network, hopefully they will stop by and support you. I was overwhelmed, I think, is the word, by people I didn't expect to come and support me who did. So it's an overwhelming experience, but it's an awesome experience. Just be ready to say hi to everybody and be your friendly, normal self, Julia. And
I'm going to be across the room from you. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll bring spitballs or something to throw at you from across the room. It's fun. More than anything else, it's fun. All of the in-house, because it's different from the indie signing. The indie signing is open to the public. So everybody and their mother is coming to the indie signing.
Literacy signing.
Literacy signing.
I'm sorry, the literacy signing. I'm sorry.
Right.
To the literacy signing. It's very crowded, and from what I've heard from people who've been at the last New York City RWA, it's intense, it's insane, it's beyond anything that you've ever been to before. But the in-house signing, because there's several of them, they're from the publishers, there's the indie signing, they take place during the conference, and they're for us, the attendees, and all of the books are free, which I had no concept of before I came to my first RWA. People are handing you books for free. They're signing their name, they're writing things in them, and they're giving them to you. I mean, what heaven have we walked into?
And more and more, they're giving them to you digitally, too, which is huge, so that you don't have to lug all of them home, which is tough.
Yeah, that was the one thing about my first RWA. I'm like, what do you mean they're going to give me books? What? Somebody has said, you know about the Avon signing, right? I'm like, what?
Yeah. Right. They give you your RW. You sign. You go in and you register, which Katie will be doing. That's what you said, right, Katie?
Tuesday. Yeah. Just Tuesday.
You go and you register. You get your badges, which have your name and your first timer and whatever else it is you're doing on them, and they give you a bag, and it has books in it right then and there. I remember thinking, I have books. Well, this is already awesome. But no, it keeps going.
Multiply that by about 50 or 100.
There's a goodie room full of goodies. Books, paperbacks, ebooks, luggage tags, bottle openers, Post-it notes, pens. I mean, it just goes on. They want you to take them. And then you go to these signings, and you can go up to any of these authors, and they have books for free that they are giving you. And it's mind-blowing, and it's awesome. The one thing I was surprised by at the signing last year was the number of bloggers who were there. I had no idea there were that many bloggers there. I had it in my head that it was just authors and other authors that I was catering to. But no, there are other industry professionals there, so be prepared for that.
Yeah, one quick tip, the Postal Service or Post Office will just let you take large flat rate priority boxes. If you fold them up and then fold them in half, just kind of following the dimensions of the box, you can go ahead and pack a couple of those into your bag. And there's also a post office near the hotel, so don't bother with the FedEx in the hotel. It's too expensive. Go to the post office, get the flat rate boxes, pack a roll of packing tape,
and get
the postage. Yeah, prepay the postage, which is why this is helpful, because you don't have to wait. You can literally just go to the concierge at the hotel and say, can you mail these for me? And they'll mail them for you. And they may actually, depending on when you mail them, beat you back home. And it's great because you get like a gift from yourself from the conference. But it's hugely helpful because you can get 20, 30 books into a box, and then you don't have the problem of meeting the 50-pound luggage requirement, because you can walk away from this conference with literally hundreds of books.
Yes.
You do have to kind of self-moderate unless you really are, I don't know, driving or doing something where you can just lug books home. I have a rule in my apartment. If I haven't read it in 2 years and it's from a conference, it gets donated to my local library's used bookstore, because just the sheer volume of books that you walk home with, I can't fit into a New York studio apartment. It just is not possible. So
I'm in a DC studio apartment, so I totally understand. For a while, even when I was living in Iowa, when I had a 2-bedroom apartment to myself, the luxury, because I went to Book Expo, I went to librarian conferences, and I went to RWA, I like started putting like little removable stickers on the backs of the books to note where I got them from and what year, so that I knew, okay, I haven't looked at this. This goes bye-bye.
Yep. Yeah, and you're going to lose some gems that way, but you kind of need to institute rules, because otherwise you just will be found one day under a pile of books, and it will be very sad.
I remember just being flabbergasted. There's a table they put outside the goodie room for you to return stuff that you actually don't want to take so that other people can get it. And my first RWA, there was a massive stack from one of the publishers of stuff that ended up not going somewhere it was supposed to. I don't know what happened. And people, it was like starving people at a bread run. It was...
Yeah, it's really crazy. You can really make out in terms of the reading. It's just incredible. So,
and I will say, though, in relation to that, is that there are some people who get on the high of free.
Yeah.
And get out of their way. Just get out of their way. Honestly, actually, the 2003 conference in New York, that's when I started getting not full-blown panic attacks, thankfully, but where I developed my issue with close crowds was because this particular setup, which I don't think anybody's repeated because it was such a but one signing, they had all the authors in a U-shaped formation and just let everybody file in all at once. And so I had a plan I wanted to see Sherilyn Kenyon at that particular signing. I was the third person in line to see her, and said hi, got my book, turned around, and there's all of these people. And it was just so incredibly packed. And like I said, I'm really tall for a woman. I'm 5'10". I am a large person. I was like, holy. And so I made my way to the center, and then I did not realize it was a U formation. So I picked the wrong direction to turn and ended up at the table, and there was nowhere for me to exit. And I had this, I'm sure, panicked look in my eyes, and the authors are like, are you okay? I'm like, I just need to get out here. And they're like, yeah, there's no way here. You have to go back. I'm like, okay, thank you. Have a good day. And I just made my way back out. But part of that was because of my size, and I was able to push my way out. So know your own physical limits. Like, I have since been to a signing where they had a very similar setup. It was nowhere near as crowded, but it just immediately flashed me back. And so first I just immediately went right back out. I'm like, you know what? I'm not putting myself in this situation. I'm good. And so just know yourself and know your limits, and it'll help you get through the conference without having to completely abandon things earlier than you want to.
Right. And, we want you to be healthy. We want you to eat. We want you to drink water. We want you to do things like, so the Gail Carriger has a fantastic set of rules for conferences that I should have looked up before I popped on. But basically her rule is 1 shower a day, at least 1 clean change of clothing a day, at least 2 meals a day. This is what she strives for, at least 6 hours of sleep. And they're kind of like these base conference rules, and they're pretty good, actually, because it sounds silly, but you will forget to eat if you're not careful. And somebody actually messaged me right before we were on and said that one of the things she wishes she knew before the conference was how difficult that can be sometimes. And so coming prepared and kind of throwing some granola bars into your bag, or just going, Dwayne Reed is the big drugstore around here.
It's Walgreens, too.
Yeah, Dwayne Reed, Walgreens, Rite Aid, and CVS, there are all over the place. And so you're going to be able to find a drugstore of some sort if you really want to go to a supermarket, whatever it is that you need to set yourself up with so that you have a healthy conference, so that you're happy and you're okay. Some Advil's not a bad idea, just having that in your purse. It's a conference full of women. Somebody's going to have tampons, but if you have tampons, that's not a bad idea. It's just, we want you to make sure that you are, safe, healthy, happy, feeding yourself, all those things. And also you're going to get blisters, so you might as well just pack some Band-Aids now.
I need to go buy that.
Yeah. But and keep in mind, as Julia just said, there are stores. So if you need to take a break, my dad's one thing whenever we were going on vacation, there are stores where we are going.
Oh, it's New York. You can find anything. Yeah, trust me. If you want, Ethiopian food at 2 a.m., we can get you Ethiopian food at 2 a.m. If you really decide you need a guy in a penguin outfit to show up, we can hire you a guy in a penguin outfit to show up. Like, it's not going to be a problem. We got it covered.
One thing I wanted to mention, too, is part of the prep, since we're getting ready for packing and people are figuring out schedules, you might also want to consider what you're going to be wearing every day. For Book Expo, this past year I went up, and this was the first year that I did this, but packing bags, packing cubes.
I have those in pink, and they're sitting not very far from me right now. And
I have the bigger set in pink, too. But what I found really useful at Book Expo is that I thought ahead of time, this is what I always did, like for RWA and ALA and other conferences, I always had a list of what I was going to wear each day. But for Book Expo this year, I made the list, and then I packed each outfit into its own individual bag, and actually used, I think, Lauren Dane's suggestion of also packing the accessories that you're going to wear with that outfit in just a little Ziploc bag, and I put it in the bag with it. I did not have to think in the morning. I just knew what outfit I was going to wear that day. I grabbed that bag, I got showered and dressed, and there was no thought involved. So if you can do something, so that way I wasn't tearing through my bag looking for this one particular necklace I wanted to wear or whatever. It just saved me so much thought, and it was so easy to do. And then the other thing we were also talking about yesterday were like go bags that you like stick in your conference bag that you take with you. So Advil, Band-Aids, if you need sanitary, whatever, have some of that. I happen to need dairy pills for when I have ice cream and other stuff, so I always make sure I have a supply of that. Any medication that you need throughout the day, so I'll have my inhaler with me just in case. So, and I'm just going to keep it in a small little bag so to save space, but that's just going to be able to go in and out of the bag, no thought, and quick, easy access.
One big thing for me is I tend toward hypoglycemia, and so while I try to eat a really good breakfast and a really good lunch every day, and I try to have granola bars in my bag at all times, one thing I tend to forget at conferences is that you're on. From the moment you wake up, your heart is going that whole time, and you do need more calories per day than you realize. I was even just at a conference last month, and luckily my roommate was keeping granola bars because I thought I'd eaten enough, and I hadn't, and she had a granola bar because at 10 o'clock in the morning I was tanking fast. So keep in mind that conferences, it's just a high-energy experience the whole time that you're there, and you will need more food than you think that you do, and that's cool. Don't worry about diets or anything while you're there. Just
diets don't count during conferences.
No, just make sure you survive the day. I remember at our first RWA, we all decided to go sit in one of the indie author chats, and I was like, I need food and I need to sit and eat it right now. And you all decided to grab food with me at the same time and sit in that chat and eat with me, and I was like, I love you guys.
We're very sensitive to her needs. We also know that she needs coffee the first thing in the morning. So I kind of plan on just showing up with Starbucks in my hand to be let into their hotel room as I pick them up for the morning.
I love you.
I didn't know I got that benefit because I'm rooming with Lexi. Can I have soy milk in mine, please?
Yeah, no problem. High maintenance.
I know, right?
So that's a good point. And then also, one of the things that people are always concerned about, what are you going to wear? It is a conference of women, and not that we have to dress up, but I think there usually is, since it's a professional conference, an expectation that you will be at least in business casual. Not many people wear suits. I don't know why you would, unless that's like your thing and that's your, identifying brand. But, wear clothes that you would, be meeting somebody for, you would be comfortable meeting a client in not a formal setting. So for me, it's pencil skirts and blouses and dresses, and that's pretty much what I wear. And then also we dress for the Ritas. So the Ritas are a whole, and I actually was staring at my Rita dress right now, which is a full gown with a train on it. So, just it's a little extreme, but, people do. There are opportunities to, go to cocktail parties at night, and some of them have themes. And so if you kind of have an idea that maybe you want to pack a party dress and maybe you want to pack a dress for the Ritas in addition to the clothes that you're going to have. And don't do what I did last year. I brought nothing but business casual, Rita dress, and the stuff I slept in. I didn't have a pair of jeans to change into, which in freezing cold conference hotels was a really stupid idea. And I ended up basically in yoga pants anytime I wasn't in my conference wear. So, you want something that you're going to lounge around in, because as much as you're on all the time, you are going to have times when, you're hanging out in somebody's hotel room and, hanging out at the hotel bar. Maybe you want to kind of get changed and be more casual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, jeans. Having a pair of jeans is very nice. I do tend I have a uniform for conferences, and it's pencil skirts because I am a stay-at-home mom, so to speak, who writes full-time, and I get really excited when I go to conference because I get to wear dresses and pencil skirts, and I branded myself before my first conference. I liked the idea of an erotic romance author who wore pencil skirts to everything, and so that's what I do. I wear pencil skirts to every signing, every conference. It's what I do, but it's very nice for those times to be able to throw on a pair of jeans and relax. So make sure you have something that can go in between. It's going to be interesting to see me pack this year because I'm coming in on Monday early, very, very early on Monday, to have some fun before this conference with my husband, which I've never done before. So I don't know how I'm getting all my stuff to New York City, but we'll do it.
Whatever you're shipping it to me, it's fine.
I have Julia.
Yeah. One other tip with that, if you are traveling early and someone's coming with you, because I did that for San Antonio last year, remember that person leaving, so in your case your husband can take things home with them. Yes. So what I did was I shoved so much stuff in my suitcase for San Antonio, and then he had a bigger suitcase and took all the extra stuff home with him, and I kept only what I needed for RWA, which left me room for books. So just make sure he has a bigger suitcase and can bring things home.
One tip that I did get from my roommate my first year that I have never used but I think is an awesome tip is even if you don't need 2 suitcases on the way up, you can pack a smaller suitcase inside of your suitcase, and then if you need to, you had to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It is useful. The one thing I would say is in terms of clothes, I tend to be a more casual person. So I sometimes will wear jeans fairly frequently, but if I wear it with a nice, what I found is that I wear it with a nice pair of shoes, wear it with a nice top, accessorize nicely, you still don't notice the jeans. I actually was working a booth with somebody. I had left all of my nice clothes at home on accident. They were just hanging up in the closet. I forgot to grab them on my way out the door. So I had my jeans and I gone out to get a couple of nice tops. So I was working this booth and at 2-3 hours I was talking with my one colleague and she's like, oh man, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I'm wearing jeans. And she looked down and she's like, oh my God, you are wearing jeans. So 2 hours, and she hadn't even noticed, but I had a really nice top on, I had nice shoes on, and so it's put yourself as professional as you can, but also remain comfortable because you are going for so long. And if you are not comfortable in the way that you are dressed, and some people are very comfortable in a corset and tight skirt and all done up, and they are truly comfortable, but figure out what your comfort level is with putting forward a professional front. So.
Yes, I'm glad you said that because I was going to bring that up as well. I always wear jeans at least once, if not more. I mean, I work in my day job as in academics, and we don't I mean, we wear jeans fairly frequently and very professionally, and so definitely, so definitely whatever kind of that look is for you. But yeah, I definitely don't have a huge repertoire of super skirts and dresses and things to wear. So yeah, whatever works.
I've started wearing more dresses this last year, but I also wear bike shorts underneath. So
that works for you.
Well, in the summer, I wear more.
Yeah. One of the things also too is that this is a hotel. It can get really cold because of the air conditioning, so you might want to consider bringing a light shawl or a cardigan if you get cold really easily. I don't get cold really easily, but depending on the building, it is just the freaking Arctic. So that is something else to consider having with you.
So we're kind of getting to a point where we're hitting about the hour mark, so I think we want to try to keep things relatively having technical difficulties. My apologies. It looks like Lexi may have been kicked to mute. I think Google Hangouts is being grouchy today and won't let me unmute her. So I'm hoping she's able to do it on her end. She's pouting now. There she is.
Oh, there she is.
I was only going to say that I do wear jeans when I teach. Also, it is a frequent academic thing, so jeans are awesome. I love jeans. I just happen to like pencil skirts. Sorry, I'm unmuted now. Awesomeness.
Well, maybe there's kind of, we'll start wrapping it up. This will be a slightly longer one than we usually do, but I guess if you guys want to go around now before we, unless there's anything else that you really feel like is a burning, pressing need to talk about in terms of people's first RWAs, anything that we need to touch on?
I think I'm good, personally.
And I think I would say it's for as much as we shared, if you've done a lot of research, you'll be prepared, but there will still be stuff that surprises you. So just be willing to go with the flow.
Yeah,
it's awesome. It's a great networking experience, even if you're not sure you're writing romance. Because I wasn't sure when I went to my first RWA.
I wasn't either.
Yeah, I mean,
if there's any conference, any society, anything in the writing community that is, especially for women, open, accepting, educational, informational, networking, positive, it is RWA National Conference. So come.
Yes. And romance writers are on the forefront of the trend of everything. I feel like every year I get so much great business knowledge that I hear in other industries 6 months later. So I think no matter what you write, it's a really powerful conference full of people who really are author entrepreneurs who really know their stuff. And so, yes, if you're sitting at home and you're like, I kind of have always heard awesome things about RWA, but I don't know if I really write romance, absolutely go. There's so much you can take away from it.
So, all right, we're going to do a really quick kind of lightning round. What is the one thing you guys wish you had known before you went to RWA? Lexi, we'll just go in the order that we introduced ourselves. So, Lexi, I'm going to put you on the spot.
I think the thing I always come back to is that I do belong here. I didn't know if I wrote romance. I didn't know a soul. I didn't know anything. I was an introvert. I was writing, and I knew this is what I wanted to do, and I got told to come to this conference, and I did, and it was like coming home for me. It was an entire conference of 2,000 women who all love to write, to read, to talk about women's issues and femininity and feminism and how that fits into I'm an anthropologist by training. That's who I am. And
that's my undergrad.
Hello, I like you, Katie. I fit here, and I have never met a community of women. You always hear about women infighting and backstabbing and nitpicking, and I'm sure you find that within our community also. But for the most part, we are women who work together, who build each other up, who want to make each other stronger, who want to give each other advice. It is the most constructive community of women in particular, but as a profession in general, that I have ever been part of. It is amazing. You will be welcomed. You will find a home. You will find someone to eat with. You will find someone to sit with. It will be awesome.
Mary Chris, what about you?
It's really hard to go after that because that's pretty much it. So I think I'm going to go with maybe not so much what I learned, but something that maybe I did that was a little bit out of my character, but I was like, I'm here and I'm going to do it. So if, you know, two things. I would say don't be afraid to go sit alone in the bar area or the coffee area. You're there to network, you're there to meet people. I can't tell you, I did that twice, once with my schedule planning out coffee, and then I think the first night I was there I didn't know anybody, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to sit in my room. I'm here to meet people, and I went and I got a glass of wine, and if you don't drink, just get a soda, you know, but just sit in that area. And people came up and talked to me, and I had amazing conversations. So I would say, you know, be yourself, but step outside just a little bit. Like, I wasn't doing anything drastically different. I would have had a glass of wine probably in my hotel room, so I'm like, I'm just going to go sit at the bar and do this. And the other thing is, again, people are super generous with their contact information. I remember I think I met Alexis at that first session, and we exchanged phone numbers, and I didn't have dinner plans one night, and I was like, gosh, like, I really don't want to go to dinner by myself. And so I sent her a text message and was like, do anything for dinner? And she was going out with a friend, but was like, hey, I'm going out with a friend, but I'm here to connect with other writers, like, come with me. And so she and I and her friend who lived in Georgia went to have sushi, and talked about music and writing, and it was amazing. So.
And I mentioned this on the RWA first chat, but that year I put my phone number on my cards to make sure that I could connect with people, and I remember being so floored that you texted me that night and thinking, oh my God, this has to happen. And I was thinking about it earlier today that, yeah, because my friend in Georgia was a huge Dave Matthews fan, and she was on her way to a Dave Matthews concert in Florida, and the two of you just talked about beer and music, and I just sat there thinking, I can't believe this is my life right now.
Yes, I grew up like 40 minutes. I grew up near where Dave Matthews grew up, so it was great. Like, it was perfect.
What about you?
Yeah, so sit by yourself and text people back. No, I was just going to wrap up and say sit by yourself, text people when they tell you to text them. Don't be like, I shouldn't do this. Yeah.
Do it.
Well, I would say for me, it really was the free books.
Very valid.
Totally.
That was seriously.
Oh no!
Oh, there she is. Okay, we lost you for a second there.
Okay. Okay, so the books, and then also like all the various parties that go on. There's a lot of chapter parties that you can probably still get tickets to. So if you're interested in a specific genre, you might want to check to see if one of the special interest chapters, like Passion, I think. The romance writers, Yarwa, Beaumont, and all of them, see what they're doing as their special events. Chapter parties, they're within New York, and it's a much more expensive city. They are a lot more restricted than they are at other places. I'm a member of WRW, and we're frequently invited to the St. Martin's party, except here, because of it being in New York, they are watching their costs, which is totally understandable, so they don't have the open invitation like they do in other locations. But so if you're not published by a publisher party, by a publisher, feel bad about you're not getting invited to the parties. Even people who've been around for a very long time, if they're not directly associated, probably are not getting invited either. So, but at the same time, you can go mine those dinner dates.
Or you could be like us and go watch burlesque, because that's what we're doing on Friday night. So
there you go.
Oh.
You're coming with Mary Chris.
Oh no, I totally want to go. I just didn't know what was happening.
I've been to a very nice Russian piano bar that's not that far from the hotel, and lots of really good infused vodkas. So if that's your thing, I can give you directions.
So I think the thing that I agree with everything Lexi said. It was very emotional, kind of realizing that I had found a place, because writing was one of those things where nobody in my life really got it and understood, and so kind of getting into a community where I really felt like this was something where I was accepted and people understood me, and when I said something like, hey, I'm writing a historical romance in the Victorian era, people didn't give me a blank stare. They just went, oh my god, what? That was a really exciting thing, but I think the biggest thing that I wish I had known was to not stress about it so much. I was like just a ball of stress beforehand because nobody knew. Nobody in my nobody at work knew because I wasn't out as a writer at work at the time. A couple of my family members knew that this was a big deal and kind of understood that I was a little nervous about it. But I was searching online and I was trying to get information, and there wasn't much at the time, which is one of the reasons we started these conversations, is because we wanted to kind of open it up and make it a little bit more transparent for people and have some interaction and talk about, you know, what it was that was concerning people. So I really wish that I had known to be less stressed and that things were going to work out. And for somebody who is an extrovert to introvert, understanding that it was totally okay being concerned and nervous about that stuff, the very simple stuff, you know, the dinner, the when are you going to. I knew the hotel bar was a thing because I had listened to some podcasts the year before from RWA, so I knew the hotel bar was important. I just didn't really understand, like, I could literally walk in and sit down. And I remember Mary Chris and I did this where we had met, went to have a drink in the bar, and we ended up sitting down with Candace, Terry, and Lisbeth, and them just being incredibly nice and, you know, rolling us into their conversation, and we had a great time and exchanged contact information and everything. And then after I left, I realized, you know, these are very published authors, and these are people who have successful careers, and, you know, understanding that there's kind of a level of that doesn't really matter. So I wish I had stressed less. I did find Erin Knightley's conference packing video, which was the greatest thing ever. So the conference packing video was a big thing. And then just some basic stuff. Well, I'll talk about that in the promo. So anyway, so that's me. So we're going to go around now and just really quickly plug whatever it is that we want to be plugging for this month. And if it's nothing, and if you're just excited for RWA, that's totally fine too. So Alexis Ann is like looking around for stuff, which is always dangerous. She's always got something on hand. What have you got for us this month?
I just realized I have my Tempt paperbacks, but they're in the next room.
Mary Chris, what do you have for us?
While she goes to get her paperbacks.
Run and get her stuff. Go get your paperbacks.
Run!
Go get them. Go get them.
Oh, there they are.
I have a sexy editor. I don't need to run.
I'm watching it right now just to be, you know, your honorary book provider. I don't know.
He did. So this is Tempt. It releases on Tuesday. Isn't he so sexy? It's my new serial that follows in the same universe as Tease. Oh, which I have right here. Hello. Hi, Adam. Isn't he still sexy? He is.
They can be sexy together.
They can be, I mean, seriously, these two together, hello. The Tease comes out on Tuesday. I have giveaways going everywhere. Seriously, check me out on Facebook, check me out online, Book Likes, Goodreads. I want you to know Theo. Theo is hot, he's reclusive, he's a genius, and he's a billionaire. I mean, I couldn't fit more into one guy. Alexis Ann Books.com, and if you find me at RWA, I have right here a first draft. It's not a button. Oh no, it's a bottle opener. If you find me before I run out of these, you may have one.
Mary Chris, what have you got for us? I don't have bottle openers, so I don't know if you could top that. But
I have 0 bottle openers or books. No show and tell here. But I am on tour this month, so super excited about that. My debut novel came out in paperback this summer, and I am on a blog tour for the entire month of July. The information about that is on my Facebook page, actually, so if you just search for Mary Chris Escobar on Facebook, it's the pinned post on the top, and there's a link to everywhere. I was on a great blog today called Living with Joy, and it was fabulous. She had lots of nice stuff. So super excited to be on tour from my own home with no packing required. And let's see. Oh, the other thing I want to promo is Alexis and I are speaking at RWA on Saturday from, I wrote it down, Saturday from 3:15 to 4:15. So Saturday at 3:15, come check us out. Use your RWA app to find us. You can just search for one of us. But we're talking about surviving self-publishing when success is slow to come, which is something that we're both really passionate about, and a voice I think we feel like has maybe been missing a little bit from the self-publishing world in romance. So super excited, and please come see us. And I think we're pretty committed to, we'll go have a drink with you afterwards if you do come to our session and have more questions. So yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome.
We're committed to the drink in general, I think.
We're generally committed to that.
Katie, what do you have for us?
I'm going to be, let's see, okay, I'm going to be giving out these buttons, so if you're a first-time attendee, you can get that, or if you're willing to be a mentor, you can get this one.
Oh, I want one.
Good, because I wanted the other one. So
So I'll be giving those out at the conference, and like I said, 8:30 Wednesday night, we're going to have the meet and greet, and then if on end of September, if you happen to be in the Baltimore area, Alter Ego is going to be speaking at the Baltimore Book Fest. 2 sessions, so that runs whatever that last weekend is. So I want to say the 27th to the 29th of September, so Friday to Sunday.
Very nice. And thank you, by the way, for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. Having somebody who has a longer perspective on RWA has been fantastic as well. So,
well, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
So I am right at the start of a historical erotic romance serial that just launched on the 30th of June, and the next the next installment is coming out the Tuesday of RWA. Because let me tell you, what you really want to do is start a job the day after RWA and also have a book coming out the Tuesday of RWA. That's great scheduling. So book 2 is coming out. Book 2 of The Lady Taken is coming out the 21st. So that's very exciting. You can get the first installment of the serial right now for 99 cents on all the usual suspects. That is published under Vivian Thorne. And we'll have some more, Lexi and I will have some more one of news later in the year, in the fall, but for now that side of the pen name is a little quiet. So, but I am signing. I'm signing at RWA. I think it's Thursday. Yes. Is the indie signing? I want to say 3 to 4:30. It's on your conference app.
Yes, it is.
That's very exciting. Both Lexi and I will have paperbacks, and we'll have digital downloads if you're if you're an e-reader person, and we'll have swag, and it's all very exciting. And Lexi is trying to tempt me with tempt again. But mostly we want to make sure that everybody knows, please come up and say hello, and you're more than welcome. We would love to answer questions beforehand, and I'm going to have a couple of things. I already have something up on my blog about getting to the conference hotel from various transportation hubs. Hopefully that's helpful. There have been some edits as New Yorkers are just like, yeah, no, you have no idea how to get to the conference hotel from Newark, so I'm going to tell you how to get to the conference hotel from Newark. If this is accurate, I don't know because I never fly out of New York. But I'm also going to post a post about bars in the area, so you can get out of the conference hotel if you like. There are literally hundreds of restaurants in a very small block radius around that hotel, so you can pretty much go eat, drink, whatever you want, wherever. Please, 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 I urge you, if you are in New York for the conference, please get out of the conference hotel. Please get out of Times Square. It's my city, it's my adopted city, and I love it, and I would love to help you guys see it and experience some of it, and this is a really great area to just head a little bit out of Times Square, which can be a little overwhelming sometimes. So I hope you all enjoy it, and please come grab us at the conference, say hello, and grab a bottle opener from Lexi. I really want 2, actually. And
order more.
We will talk to you guys the first Tuesday of August, which is always kind of an exhaustion show, so we'll do something a little bit more low-key because we'll just be coming off of the RWA high. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the conference.
See you. Thanks for having me.
Bye. Bye.
Cheers.